Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSP Magazine. Join us on our journey into the past, the present, and the future as we explore the relationship between technology and humanity. Together, we're going to find out what it means to live in a society where everything is connected and the only constant is change. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
Marco.
Sean, tell me about technology.
Technology is all in the gray area.
For me, it's black and white.
Never seems to be on or off for me. It's always somewhere in between.
Well, it's the beauty. It's the beauty of communication. Sometimes we need to adapt to what's going on. But so far, and the reason why we're saying this on this podcast is because we had some connection issues. So we're hoping that everything is aligned right now. The magnetic field, the sound waves, the videos is working. And for people watching the video, they'll see there is 3 people already here. And for those listening,
is that a technological issue?
No, I hope no. Let's see. Let's give it a test. So for the people listening, here is our guest. Say hello.
Hi everyone.
See, we're not lying. It's really not just Sean and I. Sean, why don't you do the honor though to introduce this?
I would love to. So I'm trying to think how far back this goes, but so I had the privilege of all virtually, mind you, meeting Saman Fatima, and had a good chat with her, and then had another podcast with her where we looked at the relationship between roles, data engineering, and cybersecurity, which I found fascinating. And for them, we're going to hear about Saman's story, but I mean, an incredible person doing amazing things now abroad, living in the US, going to school. And I think she has some experiences that she's going to share and uncover talking to folks. And I'm thrilled, Marco, to announce, to have you announce the new show.
Well, the new show, actually, no, I'm going to let Saman say that. But, as usually happen, we have a great conversation, sometimes twice. We say, hey, you know what? You would make a great host for a show. So I'm glad that we can announce that you have a new show, and a brand new show, and a concept that you're bringing on ITSP Magazine. So enough of the two of us. Sean and I always talk too much. Saman, introduce yourself to our audience and your future audience. So, start grabbing some audience right now.
Thank you so much, Marco and Sean. And you two have been the dearest back in India and now in the States as well. So hi, everyone. You're watching me again on ITSP Magazine. I'm Saman Fatima. I've been here with the two men many times, sharing a lot of my deeds with all of my career experience. And now from being a professional, now I am a grad student here in the States. And I left my 5 years old job, came here for my master's, and with that I did perceived a lot of things in the past 5 months, and that's where the opportunity landed, and I wanted to bring that up onto the platform as well. So yes, I am starting up with Off the Record with Saman, and it's a student abroad podcast. Living here away from family, away from your home country is really tough, and it's really challenging, and it's really fun as well. But we see what we actually show you, but actually the world doesn't see what we actually go through, a lot of the phases to actually come here, do our masters, bits and pieces of getting groceries, and a lot of other things that comes up. it's really a challenge, and how you actually adjust to it, the environment, the studies, the processes, the food, the culture, and the college, the studies, the opportunities, and yes, the job search. That's the main part. So with this podcast, I just wanted to bring up a lot of folks who have already been here, done this, or are doing this, and bring them on board from different elite universities. It's not just from the States, it's from all over the world. I'll try to get as many folks as possible with you and present them with questions that we want to know as people from the other side, and get to know more about how things actually function when you actually land, to how you actually study, to how you actually get back home, and a lot of stuff that goes in your head. So, yes, I have a quick questionnaire that I will be putting across in front of each of my guests. But yes, before every of the episode, I would be grabbing a lot of questions from my future audience as well, and put them across to the guests so that each and every answers gets answered, and questions gets answered. And yes, you would be able to talk to a lot of my guests through their personal handles. If you want to have more questions to be put across to them, feel free to chat with them, to email them, and everything would be provided there. And that's something I really want to route this process, that this process becomes more easy and accessible, and things gets more easier for people and students and faculties you could actually reach across to, and there, you know, you actually put across your questions in front of them. So that's all about off the record with me.
I love it, and I think there's a bit more there. and I'm gonna pull on these strings a little bit because, I mean, it just even if somebody decides to transition from traditional high school into university, navigating that, if they stay in their hometown, is in of itself complex sometimes. If you move out of town or out of state, it gets a little more complicated. When you start having to deal with visas and leaving jobs and leaving family and all these things, there's a lot going on there. So I think I'm hoping I'll hear in your episodes kind of some of the challenges you face. I'll say mentally, but how you think through the process. How do you make the decision to make that leap? How do you communicate that to your friends and your family and your peers? And then obviously you're going to talk about some of the process to get into, to get visas and to set up the travel. He's talking about groceries. Right? This isn't vacation. Where you can just eat at a cafe on the corner every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and room service and whatnot. This is life, setting up housing and finding ways to get food and bank accounts. Do you get that before the visa or after the visa? Obviously, there's some things to deal with there. A
Yeah.
lot of stuff, and I'm excited because this is clearly, we connected through technology. We've talked about cybersecurity. This is way beyond that, and that's why I'm thrilled to have these conversations. And hopefully people listen and reach out to you with some of their thoughts and experiences and questions as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So the technology, right? I mean, I know it's very social, psychological, family relationship and all of that. But I'm curious, do you envision there is a technology part connected to that? Because I'm thinking like, people do it now versus people doing it 20 years ago, even 40 years ago, how much it's been different to be a student in Japan, I don't know, in the 60s versus being now from India to the United States. So how do you think you're going to bring the technology part together with the human side?
See, technology really plays a vital role here, because that's how you're connecting. That's how we're actually able to connect and put this forward for a lot of folks, either sitting in India or in any other part of the country. You're actually able to know and get that heads up that, yes, okay, if I want to do this, by watching this video, by being part of this conversation, by following the link, and chatting and understanding things are possible. So it's just technology that's actually taking us everywhere. I actually know it's like a gray area. It's good and bad both, but it's like how you connect. So how you actually connect back from here to your parents, and how things actually stay interconnected in those ways. So really, technology plays a vital role, and it's not just me connecting to a guest, because there is a screen between us, and that's how technology made us here.
And it's not just students like yourself, right? So tell us about some of the other guests that you plan to have on, professors or whomever.
Yeah. So faculties are an important circle when you actually come outside for your undergrad, your grad, or you're coming here for your doctorate. So how accessible the professors, the faculty, and all that board is. Uh, this particular podcast with me would also have faculties on board here who are either part of that university for very long, citizens of that country, or may have migrated years back, and now how they see education and how they could give out what the university slash the college is actually providing, and what are your scopes of actually getting out and coming here, and how things would be pictured in those spheres. The other part of my guest is faculties. So that is the other chunk of it, to actually interact with those professors who you just see on the website with a picture and their titles and their bios. So it's way more than that.
Yeah, and you want to hear both side, and I think it's important. And I want to dig into like the audience they are envisioning for this, right? Because as a host, you always think about, who is it listening to this, and what question would they ask? Now, I like the fact that you're going to ask questions that come from your network, and that's going to be fun because I'm sure it's already a wide variety, and I think a diverse following that you already have on social media. And but I think what is interesting too is slowly find out who is actually listening to the show. But if you had to pick to start, and you don't know because you haven't even started yet, who are you doing this for? Because I think there is a lot of people that can learn from this, maybe even people that are not students. This is about culture. And so I'd like to know, what is your vision as you grow your audience? Who do you think they're going to be?
So when I talk about this podcast, I think about myself and a lot many students of my age, or maybe younger, or maybe older, who are actually in the in the periphery of actually moving out, but they have a lot many questions. They want like real time answers. They want answers from those who have actually been in those spaces, and that would actually give them organic answers to what they actually want to do, and think about that if that is actually the end goal. And there were a lot of resources at my time as well, but a dedicated podcast where actually we're just talking about students and faculties coming here, talking about the course, talking about the lens of how actually they came here bit by bit, is something that I really wanted to have it. And maybe there are resources, but I just wanted to leverage this podcast and give it like a one stop shop where you know that you will get the answers. So students who are actually aspiring to move outside of their home countries, not just Indians or any other country they want to go for. And it could be like people coming down from a different country to India for their grad or any other. So it's like it's a fair share, and what I had experienced and I am also experiencing through it, because I'm yet to graduate. So with my experience and with people I bring on board, the student and the entire community would actually get a lot from it. So that's my major point of putting across this podcast.
And Saman, I'm going to go back to our very first conversation, and it's BBWIC, Breaking Barriers, Women in Cybersecurity, was how we got introduced. We're talking about that. And so how does that play into the conversation? What do you hope to do from things related to that group, or maybe bigger picture even beyond that?
Okay, so breaking barriers, women in cybersecurity came into picture in 2021 January, and it's been a long run that we are running with it. The founder, Asta Sahani, and I being with it, and a lot many board members playing a major part in putting it across together. So it's a non-profit organization, and we're all as a team really working hard to put that forward to have more jobs and getting aid on those fronts, prepping up women to envision themselves as leaders. So that is something that we vision as part of BBWIC, putting across a lot of trainings and developments for a lot of members. So with this podcast, I just wanted to introduce BBWIC as well to a lot of folks who are not part of it, and you're more than welcome to be part of our community and learn more and be part of a lot of events and a lot of opportunities that we get across, be it in terms of visiting conferences, speaking at conferences, getting job aids, getting help with resumes. That's something we really push across, and that's how that is what is BB Week.
And there are other nonprofit that you are part of as a member, as an ambassador. So why don't you give us a list of that? And I know they're all cybersecurity related, but I want to be clear that this is not just about that. This is going to be good even if you're an art student or literature, whatever. So, I mean, I don't even know somehow how to ask you other things because I feel like I can go in so many different places. But let's stick with your experience so far.
Yeah. So I have been a part and parcel of a lot of cyber communities since 2017 when I just entered into the professional world. So, women in cybersecurity, I'm really excited about that because I am going to visit their conference in Denver in March. I got a student scholarship. So, that's something a lot of folks don't know about, and things that can actually get you those aids, and you can visit the conference and be part of it. So VCs I've been part of many years now. I started up with the India affiliate, and now I'm part of the Georgia affiliate, and also been part of a lot of mentorship programs. So that's VCs. That just doesn't need an introduction there. Apart from that, I'm a sneak ambassador as well. With that, I know I've been part of a lot of events where I actually give out more things, what Sneak is doing and how can other people be part of it and participate in it to know more about the organization and what they're actually doing. So as an ambassador, I give that out. And other organizations that I'm part of are OWASP, that I'm a member of it, and that's also a nonprofit organization where I started up with. To know more about OWASP Top 10, that's where I started up cybersecurity with. And yes, last but not the least, it's Cyber Preserve. It's again by Asta Sani, and it's more of how you pivot your cyber career and all those online courses that comes handy, and how that goes forward with it. So as a volunteer instructor, I have also served a lot of time with it and still part of it.
So one of my questions that I took a note here was to say, okay, how did you figure out all these things that now you're going to share with your audience? Like, what is
It's
your
a spreadsheet,
secrets?
Marco.
Yeah.
Saman is an
Well,
amazing
not,
data engineer. There's a spreadsheet somewhere in here. I know it.
there gotta be an algorithm. I'm sure there is something involved with that. But there is one thing that I just took from what you just outlined there, like networking. I'm assuming that that's going to be one of the big tips that you're going to give to people, like get connected with organizations that are there to help you. So that maybe what other topics do you think you're going to be presenting, and maybe you want to tease us with some of the guests that you have in mind, without committing with the date of the episode, because we never know, but at least we know that that's the kind of conversation that audience can expect. That's the kind of tips and topics that people can expect.
Yeah. I would say I started up with a lot of things before COVID, so networking was pretty easy going to the local meetups, catching up with a lot of people, then connecting on LinkedIn, getting the business cards. But eventually that has really lowered down with COVID, with a lot of virtual events, and you know how you actually connect with people. And it's just not about connecting where actually is a common point of you and the person you're connecting, and how you're actually taking that conversation forward. So I would really, really say, if you have any passion for things, go ahead, have a talk. It's the networking and the connection that made me get to know you and Marco as well. So it's more of that share that you have to get out and have a conversation with people, because that ways you will not understand that you and two people others that you're connecting with, you're actually sailing in the same boat, and you can have multiple perception to things. And with that, networking is really important. I am also digging in my networks, in my connections as well, to get the best first guest. And the only thing that I can give out here, Marco, is that you would have the first episode in early March. That's for sure. But the guest and everything, I'll keep the details to myself, and I'll be putting that across
Fair enough. Fair
soon.
enough. It's okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's something. The first guest would be really to give out about a specific university, the details about the things of the lens of how things happened and how things are happening. That is majorly what we'll be talking about.
So I know Marco was talking about cybersecurity. We joked a little bit about technology, and yeah, it's not a spreadsheet. I'm sure there's a massive algorithm under there somewhere. But seriously though, the classes you're taking, the courses you're taking, and the masters you're pursuing, how much of that will come into the conversation? I'm wondering. Well, maybe tell us a little bit about what you're studying, what you're pursuing, and will that be part of the conversation in any way?
So I'm doing my master's in information system, majoring in cybersecurity. So I'll never leave my passion behind. That's why the master's is happening. And yes, definitely as part of the podcast with the guests and everything, I cannot omit cybersecurity. So my course, my classes, my entire work experience would come as part, because be it you're doing any of the course, but security is something that's really, really important. And what part does it play in your life is something really important for you to question around. So there has to be a security element in my podcast, and I will make sure it is there.
I'm sure you will not fail, because you can tell it's such a passion that, when you're passionate about something, you're always going to find a way to sneak it into the conversation. So with that in mind, I try to make you, spill the beans and tease a little bit, but I'm with you. I'm going to leave it there. I mean, we have been in this business for a while, Sean and I. So sometimes you promise, you schedule things, and then, life comes in. But what we know for sure is that you're starting this new podcast called Off the Record, telling about what it means and how can it facilitate the experience of being a student abroad. Again, global. So we want to hear people from Asia, from South America, from Africa, from Europe, of course, and the USA, because we're here, and all. It's a big world out there. So I can't even imagine how many great story you will be sharing, and how many people you will motivate and help with your guests into make that call. I mean, trust me, I made that move to come in the US. I wasn't a student at the time, but I know what it means to adapt to a different culture. So the younger you are, probably, I don't know, on some side it may be easier because they're a little bit more flexible, but for other things you like that experience. And maybe technology, it's a big help for all of this. Definitely to stay in touch with your family and friends over there, or to even network, because you talk about the pandemic, but we've kept networking. we kept working together. We kept doing podcasts. So I'm excited. I'm very grateful that you choose ITSP Magazine for your new adventure. We'll do everything we can to make it a success. I have no doubts about it because your personality is just incredible, and we are honored. And I know I can speak for Sean that
I'll
you're
let you
joining
this one
us.
time. Yes.
So
Perfect.
let's do this. When people want to learn about you, get in touch with you, your profile page is already up. So they can come on ITSPmagazine.com, look at the podcast. Your profile is there. Your social media are there. People can get in touch with you. But I'm going to leave you 1 minute to close this with a call to invite people to listen. And that will be the end of this podcast because, now you're a host. So you better get used to it.
So with a closing note, I see a lot of sunlight here. So I just take that as a positive affirmation
Yes.
to that. So in the broad daylight, I just wanted to say that if you are thinking of moving to pursue your master's or any other course abroad, globally, anywhere you want to go for, I would really love to connect with you people, know what sort of things that you want, what sort of countries you want me to cover as part, and get the guests from there. I would be really obliged to help the community, my student community, and get you the maximum help as possible. And that is possible. It's just you have to connect with me. So connect with me, ping me, and I will take the things forward. So please join the podcast.
I'm joining the podcast. That's for sure.
I'm listening already. So that's easy. I already clicked subscribe. I don't know.
Perfect.
That's what you gotta do. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Saman.
Yes.
I think
Thank you, Saman.
people did enjoy to get to know you a little bit more. And of course, they'll get to know and hear a lot from you in the next coming months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you learned something new and this story made you think, then share ITSP Magazine with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our columns. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.